there, everybody. It's so good to be together again today. I have so many things out on my table today. We have so many fun activities and things to do. But first, let's do what we always do, and let's light our candle. And we light our candle being reminded that Jesus can light up even the darkest spots in our life and in our days. And then we do always also grab somebody that we are doing Sunday school with, and we give them a great big squeeze. And we are reminded that it is a huge blessing that we get to be together and that we get to learn about God and about Jesus together. Now, in last week's lesson, if you remember, we talked about how each and every one of us was created in the image of God, and that we all have this whole big list of smarts. Do you remember our book about smarts? Well, today, and in some of our future lessons, we're going to talk about how because we are created in the image of God, and because we have all of these smarts that are kind of God's gifts to us, that God actually invites us into the work of making the world a little bit better place. God invites us to do that work because God trusts us since we are made in God's image. So the first one of these stories that we're going to read is a story called Abraham Trusts God. And in the story of Abraham, there's some discussion about stars. And so I thought it would be kind of fun if we did a little star quiz first. Okay, so put on your thinking caps. Let's get really smart. And I've got some questions, and I want you to see if you know the right answer to these questions about stars and the universe. Okay, get ready. So, question number 1. Stars are usually between the ages of, and I will give you the choices, and then you think about which choice you think it is. Are stars 100 to 300 billion years old? That's super old. Are they 1 to 10 billion years old? Are stars 1 to 10 million years old? So those would be pretty young stars, I guess. Or are stars 5 to 10,000 years old? Those would be really young stars, I guess. So which one? Do you think 100 to 300 billion? 1 to 10 billion? 1 to 10 million? Or 5 to 10,000? And the actual answer is B. 1 to 10 billion years old is kind of the average age that scientists think that stars are. That's still super old. So here's our next question, and it's a true-false, so it's a little bit easier, okay? True or false, the sun is a planet. Is the sun a planet? The answer is false. We'll get back to that in a minute, okay? So, number 3. How many galaxies are believed to be in the universe? Now, this is just what we know of, what science has taught us right now. But we know science is always changing. But right now, according to scientists, how many galaxies are believed to be in the universe? Is it A, 3,000? Is it B, 100,000? Is it C, 100 million? Or is it D, 100 billion? So is it 3,000, 100,000, 100 million, or 100 billion? The answer is D, 100 billion galaxies that scientists believe are in our universe right now. So, number 4. How many stars are estimated to be in the Milky Way galaxy? Okay, so the Milky Way is just one galaxy out of this 100 billion, but it happens to be where we live. So how many stars are estimated to be in our galaxy, the Milky Way? Is it A, 1,000 to 3,000, or B, 40,000 to 60,000, or is it C, 100,000 to 400,000, or D, 500,000 to 800,000? So how many stars are estimated to be in our Milky Way galaxy? And the answer is C, 100,000 to 400,000. Now my last question goes back to question number 2. The sun is the nearest star to the Earth. True or false? The sun is the nearest star to the Earth. And that is actually true. So we talked about in number 2 that the sun is not a planet. The sun is a star, and the sun is the closest star to the Earth. So when we talk about our smarts, those of us that thought that was super fun probably have a lot of science smarts that they like to stretch out and use and think about great big concepts and great big numbers. So that was fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed it with me. Now, let's talk about our story of Abraham and what God told him about the stars. And the closer you live into the city, the harder it is to see stars. So in the city, you get a lot of competing light, right? But if you go out into the woods, or like when you and I have camped together, some of us, or if you go camping with your family, then when you get far away from the city, you can see lots and lots of stars. Let's get our story out and see what our story says about stars, okay? Our story is called Abraham Trusts in God. God promises a wonderful blessing. And this is from the book of Genesis, chapters 15 and chapter 17. Abraham was sad because he and his wife Sarah had no children. God told him to pack up everything and go to a whole new land to begin a whole new life. Abraham trusted God, so he and Sarah left their home and family and began a long, hard journey. They wandered through deserts, up and down mountains, through green pastures and dark forests, constantly longing for a home of their own filled with happy children. They wandered for many years. They grew too old to have babies. One night, God said, I am giving this land to you and your children and your children's children. God, you must be joking. Sarah and I are too old to have children, Abraham said, stroking his long white beard. Trust me, my child, God replied. Look at the stars in the sky. Your children and your children's children will be as many as those stars. Abraham thought, how can that be? But then he remembered that God always keeps his promises. And so Abraham trusted God. Then God smiled and said, I will bless you and your children so you can be a blessing to all the people of the world. Dear God, help me be a blessing to others. So what did you think of that story? I love the idea that when God told Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars, that really what that meant was that there would be so many of them that you couldn't count them all. Because remember, we had this discussion about stars, and there are billions of them. And so it would just mean that it was this great big blessing to Abraham. But then did you notice God's invitation to Abraham? God said that I will bless you so that you can bless others. let's take a minute and think about our story for just a second. And let's ask some wondering questions about that story. So think about, within this story, was there anything that made you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Was there anything that you were like, I don't think I would like that very much? Because I can tell you that if I was told by God to leave all of the people that I know and to leave all of my special things and my friends and to go somewhere that I had never been before and I didn't know anything about it, that would be a hard thing for me. How about you? Would that be a hard thing for you? Maybe. So in the story, God invited Abraham to be a blessing to other people. And I wonder how we could maybe invite ourselves to be a blessing to other people even today. So I had this bucket. It was in my garage. I don't remember what I used it for before. And I've got my scissors, and I'm going to use this half sheet of paper that is empty. And I'm just going to cut some strips of paper. And you can do this at home too, okay? So what I want you to think about as you cut your strips of paper is think about your smarts and how you can use your special smarts to maybe be a blessing to someone else. And then write it on one of these strips of paper. And you could do this with your whole family. And then you can pull out one of these strips and you could be a blessing to someone, right? On whatever this is. So I am going to write on here, read a story. So if you are somebody that has really great word smarts, maybe you would write, read a story. And then you put it in here. All right. Then maybe you're somebody who has great body smarts and you'd like to do some physical work. So I'm going to write mow the lawn, okay? As cold as it's been lately, and maybe we have to shovel snow soon. I hope not, though. So I'm writing mow. There it is. Mow the lawn. And we're going to stick that in there. Maybe you have great music smarts. And if you have great music smarts, maybe you could sing a song for somebody and send it to them, maybe via email, or you could FaceTime somebody who loves to hear you sing or play the piano. So let's just write, make a video of music. Now, for my word smart people and for my picture smart people, you know, I have noticed that in this pandemic, there are some people who don't get to get out very much and they love getting mail. So I'm going to write, send a letter. And your letter could have a picture, or it could be words, or both. So we're going to put that in there. And then as a family, you can pull these slips out and you can use these as ways to prompt you to be a blessing to someone else. Fun, right? There you go. We'll put that right there. Now, the other thing that was in your PDFs that I think is a pretty cool deal is this has lots of coloring pages to it. And one of the things we can do is there's coloring pages that actually tell the story. So I haven't gotten all of my coloring done yet, and I hope that you have the time to color all of them in. But here's the thing. I mixed up our coloring pages, and we're going to see if we can get them put back in the right order to actually tell the story. All right? So, my first coloring page here says, God promises that through Abraham and Sarah's family, all people on earth will be blessed. So we have to think, where was that in the story? The next one says, Abraham trusts God's promises. Where does that one go? God calls Abram outside to look at the stars and imagine his descendants. Where does that one go? And this one says God invites Abram and Sarah to leave everything they know. Well, I think this was the first thing that happened, don't you? So I am going to put that first. Then the second thing that I think happened was that God calls Abram outside to look at the stars and imagine his descendants. I think that seems like that was number 2. And then, I think this one was number 3. God promises that through Abram and Sarah's family, all people on earth will be blessed, right? So God called him outside first, and then God made the promise. And I'm running out of hands, but then I think our 4th one is Abram trusts God's promises. So see, you can color these and then you can hang them on the wall and you can remember how the story went. Okay? I'm going to set these down. And now there's one final picture. And I'm going to color this and I'm going to put it as one of our PDFs for you to look at. But it says, all the people on the face of the earth will be blessed through you. Genesis 12:3. Pretty cool stuff. So, let's go ahead and close in prayer, okay, friends? Dear God, we are blessed that you give each and every one of us special smarts that allow us to be blessings to others. Thank you that you invite us to be part of the work that you do here on earth. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. All right, you guys, go out there and be a blessing to everybody you see. We'll see you later, okay? Bye-bye.